Yo, what's good? Welcome into the show. You're watching Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr. No matter where you are, how you're tuned in, we appreciate you for making today's show a part of your day, and we appreciate Rhone for making today's Eagles Now possible. I'm wearing their commuter shirt right here. You can get hooked up, 20% off, Rhone.com/chatsports. We'll tell you more about them coming up here just around the corner. As for what we're getting into on today's show, a lot of buzz from the NFL Combine that C.J. Gardner-Johnson could return to Philadelphia in free agency, and more buzz from the Combine points to Fletcher Cox potentially retiring this offseason. What a change in the guard that would be for this organization, considering Jason Kelce today just announced his retirement, and another legendary Eagle could call it quits as well. Before we dive into all of this, I really want your feedback here on the show. It's the offseason. We still don't take any breaks here on the program, but I do want to know how we can get better. So how likely are you to recommend this show to somebody else who's a big Eagles fan? Scale it from 1 to 10. 1, not at all. 10, I would highly recommend this show. And let us know how we can improve here on the program. We certainly appreciate your support and that feedback. All right, let's begin here with C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Is a reunion on the horizon? Jeremy Fowler, ESPN NFL Insider, with the report that CD Deuce could come back to Philadelphia, and it's a real possibility. Here's the report from Fowler. A C.J. Gardner-Johnson reunion in Philadelphia is on my radar. The Eagles realize they missed the talented safety in the secondary. Tennessee makes sense for him too. Titans defensive coordinator Dennard Wilson is a big fan of Gardner-Johnson from their Philadelphia days. And when I sat down with C.J. Gardner-Johnson at the Super Bowl last year in Arizona, I asked him how he was able to make the seamless switch from mostly playing slot nickel corner to safety. He said, this guy to my right, Dennard Wilson. So that's why that could make sense. I also know that things between Gardner-Johnson, the fan base, Howie Roseman, and the entire Eagles organization ended somewhat ugly, right? But if the Eagles and C.J. Gardner-Johnson can patch things up, he's what they need. Swagger, confidence, most importantly, a very good player at the safety position. Has great instincts. Most importantly, though, he's not going to break the bank. And for a player who's not going to break the bank at a position that you need to improve on, that's why I'm all in. You think back to my perfect offseason plan, I said, bring him back. Because this Eagles defense missed a player like that who could bring the boom, intercept the football, but bring confidence to this unit. The Eagles did really miss him, and he tied in 2022 for the NFL league high in interceptions alongside Justin Simmons. And this past year in 2023, not only were the sacks down for the Eagles, but the turnovers were down as well. Eagles were 20th in sacks after being number 1, and they were one of the best teams during that Super Bowl run in generating turnovers. They were 27th in turnovers forced last year. C.J. Gardner-Johnson is going to be able to help you in that category. Now, it's not only Fowler who has been hearing that Gardner-Johnson could come back to Philadelphia. Also, Tony Pauline, NFL Insider, with this one, that the Eagles will look to bring in a safety in the offseason via free agency or the draft. People at the Combine get the sense, real chance Eagles bring back C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who's scheduled to hit the free agent market, played for the Birds in 2022 before signing a one-year deal with the Detroit Lions this past year. Now, I was in the trenches, right, at the NFL Combine in Indianapolis last week, and I didn't hear anything specifically about the Eagles going after and bringing back C.J. Gardner-Johnson, but after they released Kevin Byard, they freed up $13.7 million, and after that, I was doing some digging. I was poking around. I did hear that the Eagles are looking to make a big splash in free agency, specifically to improve this defense. This could be categorized as one of the big splashes in the offseason period for Howie Roseman and company. Speaking of free agency, it's next week. Tampering period starts on Monday. Official deals can be signed on Wednesday, and every single move that the Eagles make, we're going to be breaking it down. You don't want to miss it. Hit that sub button. Coming up next, a lot more to get to on CJ Gardner-Johnson. Take a look at the numbers as well as Fletcher Cox. But first, our sponsor today is Rhone. Get 20% off when you use the promo code ChatSports at Rhone.com/ChatSports. What I like about Rhone, the versatility. Everything from button-ups like the one that I'm wearing right now to golf polos to really comfortable shorts and pants. Everything that you need to get some more swagger in your wardrobe, like CJ Gardner-Johnson brought swagger to this defense. Rhone has you covered, and the best part about this is a fantastic deal for the Bird Gang. All of their material, stretchable, very durable, wrinkle release technology, so you can invest in what Rhone has to offer, but on the back end, you're going to save some money because like other shirts that you have to take to the dry cleaner, you don't have to do that with Rhone. I'm all in on the stretchy athletic material. There's also odor-free technology with their products as well. From the golf course to hosting shows here at Chat Sports to hitting the town with the homies like I kick it with producer Smitty, taking down some drinks. Rhone, you can do it all. 20% off Rhone.com/chatsports. We're going to put that link down below in the comments section as well as in the description of this video. You can save, but you can also look good. As for more on CJ Gardner-Johnson, what he brings to this team, a lot of people familiar with his game. Swagger and confidence, as I said. He could play cornerback and safety. Vic Fangio would like that because he could be a chess piece for this defense. And he's a ball hawk with ball skills. He did it with New Orleans. He did it with Philadelphia. He was hurt a lot this past year in 2023 with Detroit because of a pec injury, but he recovered so quickly to come back for the playoffs, and I thought he played well outside of the NFC Championship game. His numbers with Philadelphia in 2022, 12 games played, were really, really solid. 67 tackles, 5 TFLs, so he can mix it up in the box, 1 sack, 8 pass breakups, and those 6 interceptions which tied him for the NFL league lead. His coverage stats analytically weren't spectacular. He did give up a completion rate of 78.6, 288 yards, 4 touchdowns, but those 8 PBUs and the 6 interceptions, he'll live with that because of the instincts, and it felt as though when he needed to make a big play, he made a big play. Only 3 games with Detroit, so the numbers obviously decreased a little bit to 17 tackles, but the Lions raved about him in the preseason, and then throughout the regular season when he did play, he was looked at as one of the team leaders, a guy who wasn't afraid to mix it up in between the lines. And what he did with New Orleans, what he did for Philadelphia, there is a pretty steady line of production here. I mean, you think back to what he did in 2020 with the 13 pass breakups there. With everything that he brings to the field, I'd really like a reunion here. And again, we know that Howie Roseman isn't going to pay stupid money in NFL free agency. CJ Gardner-Johnson isn't going to require you to break the bank either. With that, are you hopeful for a homecoming here? Do you want the Eagles to bring him back? S for sign, P for pass. Let me know what you're thinking. I imagine it's going to be mixed down below in the comment section here. As for some more NFL Combine buzz, Fletcher Cox could retire this offseason after 12 seasons with the Birds. This also coming from Jeremy Fowler. I've talked to multiple sources who believe that defensive tackle Fletcher Cox will probably retire at some point this offseason as well. Now, retirements are tricky. Plans are malleable as players emerge from the haze of the season, but there's a real possibility the Eagles will be replacing 2 legends at once. Well, we know that one possibility is official. That's Jason Kelce calling it quits after 13 years. Could Cox do the same after more than a decade of playing in Philadelphia as well? Great career for him. Not quite NFL Hall of Fame worthy, but Eagles Hall of Fame worthy for sure. 12th overall pick in 2012. I remember being at Temple University, and Brian Sartari was hosting a show at WIP at the time, and I went into the studio to help him in the lead up to the draft, and I listed Fletcher Cox as one of the targets for Philadelphia to look at with the 12th overall pick coming out of Mississippi State. They take him because they needed a defensive tackle, and isn't it crazy how Andy Reid was a part of a front office that drafted Jason Kelce, Fletcher Cox, and Brandon Graham. Cox goes on to play 188 games as an Eagle, Super Bowl 52 champion, a 4-time All-Pro, So that's pretty impressive. Like, he's been up there with Aaron Donald and Chris Jones as some of the best defensive tackles in the history of football, especially in this generation, and a 6-time Pro Bowler. And what's of note here, Brandon Graham might run it back for one more year. He leads all players in the history of this organization for the most games played at 195. Jason Kelce just retired. He's right after him at 193. Fletcher Cox right after that. And then David Akers, Brian Dawkins. When you're talking about Brandon Graham, Jason Kelce, Fletcher Cox, David Akers, Brian Dawkins, you're talking about pillars of this organization. Legends for the Philadelphia Eagles, and those numbers really back that up, as well as a consistent play, because you're not going to play that many games if you suck. Cox deserves the same treatment as Kelce. All-time Eagles, great. An induction into the Eagles Hall of Fame whenever that happens. Maybe we could see that on the same night, or at least in the same season, both Kelce and Cox going into the rafters as Eagles Hall of Famers. What a transitional offseason this could be for the Eagles here. Make sure you give me a follow on X, approaching 12,000 followers there, and on Instagram, approaching 24,000 followers there. If you want more short-form content, I got you covered there, and then long-form content here on the show.